Hello everyone, this is Fi. We're checking out Hard-Coded Ascension Prototype. This is a game I've not played before, don't know anything about it. We're going to give it a playtest, see if we can give some useful feedback. I've got the game page open here. Simply says, a bare bones prototype, still missing tons of features, balancing, and a story. Also bugs, lots of bugs. Everything is made except for sound effects. So I assume what they mean by the last line here is that everything is made by the developer, as in not using any acquired assets, something to that effect. Let's go ahead and get rid of the overlay here. Looks like we've got the same message in the game itself here, currently in windowed mode. Alright, that's my resolution, and then if I tick this, oof, okay, that's a bit weird. So I'm not sure what it looks like in the capture. Let me check here. Yeah, you can see, okay, so in the capture there's like a bit of a border around the edge. I'm not sure why it's not filling the whole screen. There it goes. Okay, I think we're, yeah, okay. We're in the full screen now. It would be nice to have an exclusive full screen option rather than the borderless windowed mode here. Always very good to have. You get less input lag, and particularly if this is kind of look like it might be one of these omnidirectional shooters, which if it's the case, you get a little bit of this mouse lag when you don't have exclusive full screen mode, and the ability to turn off VSync with it. Which I'll point out might work slightly differently in Windows 7 versus Windows 10. I use Windows 7, so that's how it works here. Alright, so this stuff you can turn on and off, that's interesting. Alright, controls WSD for movement, left, right click for attack, shift for reset. It's interesting. P for pause menu, escape for inventory. I wonder if we're going to be resetting a lot, because shift is so easy to hit. Usually I would save that key for something different. Let's go ahead and just click on start game. I don't see anything else to do here for now. Whoa, what am I looking at? Alright, we got some music. Okay, I can move around. I guess right here is walkable. This looks a little abstract to me. It's hard for me to parse what I'm looking at here, but this looks like floor, I guess. Okay, quick rundown on the controls. We already read this stuff, I think. Left and right mouse buttons, shift for the reset, pick up items from the 4 chests, which I guess these are chests maybe. The red-blue circle on the mouse icon is the bonus damage value. Red means negative, blue is positive. Okay. Items can be equipped in the inventory. Drag the obtained skill into the skill tree, making sure the skills start at the bottom of the tree. So we have to manually put them in the bottom, I guess. Using the left mouse uses those skills. Using the right mouse brings you left of the tree, while the right mouse brings you to the right of the tree. Alright, this is getting confusing. Okay, this doesn't quite make sense the way it's written, I don't think. For one thing, it says using the right mouse brings you to the left, and then it says using the right mouse brings you to the right. Also, I guess maybe, I don't know if it's giving controls for like in and out of this inventory screen. Skills can be placed in any position as long as they connect to the root of the tree. So what's the inventory? Is there a escape for inventory? Okay. So I don't have anything to work with in here yet, but we'll try that out. When the skills are set up in this way, it requires 3 L's to end or 1 R to end. Once at the end of the tree, the combo can be reset by hitting the shift key. Oh. I thought that meant like reset the game or the level. That's interesting. This will reset your position on the tree, but will keep combo hits uniqueness. E.g. RRR, Shift L, Shift L, Shift R. Wow, that sounds confusing. I assume that means the R and L being the left and right mouse buttons. So what do I do here? Just click. Clicking makes a little red thing happen, left to right. I don't see anything coming out. Uniqueness went up to 100% in the bottom left here, I guess. I don't know if I just ran into this. It did turn red. Down here is... Oh! That was weird. Okay. I just... I tried to click down here and it suddenly showed my taskbar at the bottom there for a moment. I don't think that would have shown up in the capture here, but basic slash. So I'm assuming if I hit escape, these are all in here now. Okay, so I'm guessing... Alright, I don't really understand it, but to... Maybe the bottom here is just storage, and then maybe up here is where stuff is actually equipped, I'm guessing. And then I think what you're meant to do is you just keep kind of losing where my cursor is here. This is also a little distracting how it kind of goes off center from the cursor instead of being centered here. Oh yeah, and this is kind of buggy. It's not really going where I'm clicking. So I assume like if I do this, then if I left click 4 times, then I just get these 4 attacks. And if I do like this, then if I left click 3 times and then right click once, then we'll do this as like a combo. And then if I just fill out this whole thing, then I can just kind of press, not randomly, but in arbitrary combinations of left and right click to get different combos here. I'm assuming this is the idea behind it, and then we've got what looks like a damage bonus, depending on how high we go up in the combo. $50 times 3 damage, 120, 50, 100. Like, I don't know how I would want to put this all together. There's many many possible options. If I get more of these, it's going to be like an extremely high amount of potential combinations, and that makes me wonder like how do you even decide, or does it even like matter how you orient all of these things? Either way, it's interesting. I don't know. Is this some kind of resource here? Alright, yeah, so it does appear to be working the way I thought. It looks like if I just throw in a right click where it doesn't matter, and then I left click again, it doesn't like cancel the attack or anything, but I can hit shift to reset, I guess. Alright, uniqueness. Okay, so the uniqueness goes down over time if we keep doing the same thing, I guess. Which I assume is just to discourage you from just using the same combo all the time, but I don't know. I assume it has something to do with how much damage is being dealt or something. Where does it talk about using the shift here? Once at the end of the tree, the combo can be reset by hitting the shift key. This will reset your position on the tree, but will keep combo / hits / uniqueness. So So it doesn't require you to go to the end currently. Negative 100% uniqueness. Yeah, so interesting. I don't know if, I mean, obviously this is simpler, but I don't know if, like, for instance, I should do this kind of thing. I mean, the bonus damage here seems quite nice to have, but this way, I guess. So currently, it seems like I can make the uniqueness value climb indefinitely if I keep spamming 2 different combos like this. Which is kind of annoying to do, but I can at least make that go higher and higher. I don't know what this actually does, or if this actually affects anything. If it does, like, scale damage or something, obviously that could be exploitable. If you could just sit there and charge that for a while, and then, you know, make use of it somehow, I don't know. Oh, looks like there's more written over here. The rest of the text are more about some of the mechanics and numbers. Alright, here we go. Uniqueness: it is possible to set a strong skill as the first skill in the branch and spam it with the reset. Uniqueness is a measure how unique the current combo is. Using the same skills from the last reset will reduce that score. With multiple uses causing heavier reductions, uniqueness counts towards bonus damage. So yeah, it is basically what I expected. So under the current system, although you have this set up so you can't just spam one powerful move over and over again, you can spam 2 different ones as long as you alternate and crank up the uniqueness. And so this doesn't seem to be entirely effective at fixing that kind of exploitative behavior. Bonus damage: this is applied to all attacks you perform. The calculation is based number of hits times the current uniqueness. It is possible to go negative bonus damage and start healing enemies. Okay. So it's not combo, it's number of hits. Overheating. Oh, okay. If it is possible to get to the last branch of the tree, then the skill in the last branch can be used up to 3 times. Using more than 3 will overheat you, breaking your combo and stopping you from attacking for a second. The last 3 uses will not deduct your uniqueness score. So I don't know if this is fully implemented or whatever yet. I don't see it really doing anything. I mean, I see the red meter, but the only limiting factor I can see to what I can actually do is whether or not I hit the shift key. If I don't... Alright, so if I just let the red meter run out on its own, then it seems to automatically reset. But I can just hit the shift key to, like, completely bypass this, so it doesn't appear to actually do anything that I can tell. Yeah, I don't know. Buffs. The green inventory is for buffs. When resetting, depending on what branch the reset occurred, the corresponding buff is used. Oh. Over here, I guess. Alright, so that's an interesting wrinkle. So apparently, wherever you are in here when you hit reset, it kind of corresponds to one of these buffs, and then you get that buff. Very interesting. Does seem a little bit convoluted though. Like, the full combination of this stuff is a bit hard to wrap the head around, I think, in terms of practical use of it. So I'm not sure if maybe it's over complex. I haven't actually tried, playing to any extent yet, but I guess we're gonna try. Whoa. So I don't think this is set up very good. Oh my gosh, these enemies are extraordinarily aggressive. I'm just spamming. I didn't think to try to set up my thing here beforehand. Like, I don't know if this is this a good build to just like spam these alternatingly to maintain the uniqueness, or like, I have no idea. There's so many options to set this up. It's really hard to wrap your head around like what would actually be more ideal than another thing. This is technically the highest damage output, I guess, so I don't know if that should be like up here. Oh nice, we can swap these out. Oop. Oh yeah, so this one's better than this one, clearly. Right, and this is tier 2, and this is tier 1, so I guess that helps. You have tiers, it makes it easier to quickly understand if this is going to be a weaker or stronger thing, right? So if I set it up like this, then I can do that, and that should be pretty high damage, and then I could just spam out the weak thing, I guess. Alright, so doing it this way, it does lower the uniqueness. Over time. So it seems to depend on how you have this set up, like I did before. If I had it set up to like this, I guess this is nice because the tier 2 things are in the second slot. And this seems to make the uniqueness climb. I don't know. Yeah, so the enemies, they seemed very aggressive. It seemed like it was hard to really think about what was going on because they were just kind of launching themselves at you really fast. So it was just kind of like spamming the attacks. Let's see what this is. Another weak laser. I guess the more the better. It's just more oops. More output overall here. Okay, let's get through here. So I do have to think about the fact that some of these attacks are like short range and some of them are like long range. Which I haven't really considered. I guess down here is my health. That would be important to keep track of. So yeah, the enemies, they don't really seem to telegraph their attacks, at least not in a way that's very obvious. Which would be a good idea, you know, just make them show that they're about to attack so you have some kind of a cue you can react to. That would probably be good. Let's see what this is. Basic slash. Alright. Which is the same as this guy. I'm trying to think how to manage the idea of the close range attacks and the long range ones. Like if I had a ton of these, and I could maybe just like choose to kind of specialize in close range or long range, then that would be more advantageous instead of this kind of mixed scenario we have right now. But this is all I have, so I'm not really sure how to go about using this. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time with it. Is there anything else around here to find? The movement feels a little slow when there's no enemies around and you're just kind of exploring. I'm not really doing anything right now. I'm just trying to get around the map. So I don't see anything. So we're just gonna go out this door. Sort of an elevator, I guess. if I try to remember which things are long range, I guess I don't have to spam the slashes or whatever. Another weak slash. I guess just throw that in here. I almost wonder if you might want to have it like auto reset after you hit the end of a combo chain. Like I can kind of understand if you want to reset it early. It's good to have the button there. I mean, I don't know, it might make it kind of mindless if you just like you start just mashing the left and right mouse button as fast as you can and not think about what you're pressing. It just kind of automatically happens, but I have a feeling that the game might tend towards that either way. You're just going to kind of work the shift key in there as well. You're just going to like... I mean, yeah, I guess I would wonder like maybe there's some way you can make this so that the player is really going to want to remember like a specific series of inputs for a specific situation. As of right now, all I've seen is just we have like your melee attack and your long range attack. Which is basically two options. So considering all of the potential combinations here, which is like a big number that would require math to determine, only having like two kind of unique options for what would actually be useful seems a little inadequate. So I don't know like how much you can make it really necessary to create all these combinations versus just using one or two, maybe three of them, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know, let's just keep going. I think I didn't miss anything in this place, did I? It's not very big. Nope. Ow, okay, there's lasers. So another thing I noticed is it's kind of hard to think about. It's probably not a good idea to get too close to enemies shooting projectiles. Alright, so it's kind of hard to think about like watching the enemies and dodging their attacks while you're also trying to think about the specific combinations of inputs that you have to do just to attack. So it ends up being a little overwhelming for things that should be rather simple, such as like, you know, just moving out of the way of the enemy shooting a bullet at you and that kind of thing. And, you know, having more feedback would help that a little bit, you know, like having the enemies make little sound effects, have them make little flashy telegraphs before they attack, that kind of stuff helps. But just something to keep in mind, I guess, just that there's a lot that the player is kind of being forced to do rather simple things, or what would in other games be rather simple things, like, you know, shooting and dodging attacks. In this genre, like omnidirectional shooters like this, you also, like, even a very simple implementation of this kind of game where you can just like move and just click to shoot ends up kind of dividing the player's attention quite a bit, because you have to manage your movement and your exact position while you kind of move around and try and dodge attacks. At the same time, you have to manage exactly where your mouse pointer is, because you have to aim accurately, and that really it divides your attention really quite a bit. So you're kind of like, you're trying to look at the player, you're trying to look at the mouse cursor, and you're trying to look at the enemies and their attacks like all simultaneously, and your brain can't really, your brain doesn't like actually do it all simultaneously, so it has to kind of like switch between things really rapidly. It's quite taxing on the brain. So once you start adding in this extra stuff, like all these different clicking combinations and stuff, it does add more layers to things. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's not necessarily bad, but it does mean that the player's brain is being you know, divided between a lot of stuff. And I would say if you do want to keep this level of complexity, you might want to if nothing else, just, you know, keep in mind that maybe you want to have the enemies have like really good and, you know, maybe fairly long telegraphs and stuff like this to keep it from being overwhelming to the player. Stuff to think about. Another thing is there's not currently any feedback for when you take damage, so that's a really important thing. You really want it to be obvious when the player takes a hit. Oh, we get two things. Slash jump, tier 3, jump forward. Oh, interesting. All right, we got a buff, it looks like. Increase slash damage by 20%. So this only applies to slash damage. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, conceptually, and maybe you could say like on paper, this sounds really interesting. I mean, this whole concept of being able to kind of build these different trees of combos, and also like the different buffs that you can apply and all the different possible combinations and stuff. It's definitely it has a cool factor to it. I can definitely appreciate it. I'm not sure how well it'll work out in practice, or like how challenging it would be to make it work really well in this kind of game. I guess that remains to be seen, but you can at least appreciate what you're going for here. I guess we'll just at least try this, see what it does, kind of thing. All right. So I'm not sure how the colliders work on this. I do notice it kind of does the slash and moves forward at the same time, so you might like you might still be moving forward, but the slash is already kind of moved out of the way while you're moving forward, if that makes sense. And so like alternatively, you could imagine if you move forward and then slash, that kind of thing. Or not that you finish moving forward and then slash, but you know, if there was like a slight delay or something, like you started moving forward and then after like a tiny delay, then you did the slash, then maybe you would get more of the effect of the dashing forward with the slash. Because what you don't want to happen is for the, you know, the slash to already be out of the way of the enemy before you actually get to them with the movement part of it and that kind of thing, if that makes sense. But you know, this is kind of speculatory because I haven't tried it or anything. How do I have this set up? I guess we want to put if we have a tier 3 slash, we want to put the buff on that, and then up here we get the most bonus damage. I guess we want to swap these. That should be a lot of damage, I guess, if we can get the slash off in the end, which is, I don't know. So it'll be weird if we're constantly spamming two different attacks because one of them launches a sword and the other one doesn't. So that's an interesting thing about this, because if you build a particular combo that you like, you can't, I mean, you can use it over and over again, but the game like is actively discouraging you from using it more than once in a row. So like the way I have it up currently, I'm sort of not forced, but highly encouraged to just like alternate between these two. And if they end up being very different, then it's kind of weird, because like if I use this one the last time, then I have to use a different thing. So it's kind of weird to juggle two different sets of effects every time you go to attack. Excuse me. And I guess once you start involving like the rest of this that I'm not even using, like if I fill all of this up and then I have all these different options, it's really hard to imagine juggling this many different, vastly different, I mean not vastly different, but you know, different effects, like things that make you lunge forward and do different things. You're just doing all these different things. It's hard to imagine, because again, you're trying to do like unique ones every time. So it seems like you're gonna get almost sort of random effects. Random isn't quite the right word, but just very, you know, it's gonna be very hard to do this in a way that's kind of planned out and predictable to the player, it would seem. Yeah, this guy's just flying into me. So yeah, it's a bit hard to engage with the enemies without getting hit by them. But we're getting more basic laser. How was that different? Oh, it just goes diagonal when it's up here. Okay, I see. So we could go all the way up to the 100% tier, I guess, at least on one end. So I guess the way I'm doing this currently, it would be ideal to have 2 lasers in the first 2 slots for both options here. And like, I kind of want to keep this because we have 2 here, so I don't want to move this up to the higher tier necessarily until I get another one to put over here. I don't know. Go with that for now. Can't really see down there right now. I'm assuming that my shots will still reach down there. Okay, well that was mostly spamming the long-range projectiles, so that seems quite safe. Doesn't seem like enemies are likely to do too much to you if you keep at range. These are like instantaneous speed attacks and everything, so it's not like you're aiming too much, which is probably a good thing because of what I was talking about before, where your attention is already being divided so much, so you had to like start leading bullets and all this other stuff. It might be kind of overwhelming, but on the other hand, it does seem like it's very, very safe to just engage enemies at a distance like that. Slash jump. So we got this one again, so let's go ahead and plop that into our maximum damage tier thing here. Oops. Try to make this kind of symmetrical. Actually, it's completely symmetrical. Yeah, there we go. Then we can get the super slash damage buff, so this should be very powerful if we get off the. Wow. Wait, what? Oh, wait a minute. What was? Okay, I don't know, that's fun. It seems silly, but it's really fun. I'm sorry, something about that just tickled me. It was very unexpected. So, okay, so whatever this was about overheating, I think this is like what's going on here. It wasn't happening before. Okay, but now it's happening. So apparently, okay, so if you get to this, like the final level of the tree, then apparently you can keep spamming the last attack, but if you do it too much, then you'll overheat. I didn't. So you can do it 4 times, then it overheats. But as long as you don't hit it the 4th time, it seems like you can just keep doing it. So like as long as you just count the number of times you're hitting the button and don't hit it too many times, you can kind of use that with impunity. But obviously if you do it like extremely fast, it's really hard to keep track of it, and it's easy to overheat. So I'm seeing this little thing down here, which I assume is the buff. Okay. So, okay, I didn't realize this before, but I remember now from reading it before that this is supposed to. I was thinking this would trigger once you hit this last level of combo, that it would apply to this specific attack. Whereas what's actually happening is it's when you reset it, when you're in this level of the tree, that this is applied, and then apparently it lasts for a certain amount of time, which you could do your next things, I guess. Okay, you can do it 4 times and then... Right. So something that's interesting is that, for whatever reason, like, obviously if I keep hitting left click, it'll go up to here and then it'll keep doing the attack. But if I go up to here and to this point and then I hit right click, for some reason it keeps doing this attack. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, and I would say inconsistent, because like if I go up to here, wait, yeah, so like if I go up to here and then I hit right click, it doesn't keep going this way, it just does nothing. So I would expect that behavior to continue even if you hit here. It's kind of significant because there's been a couple of times when I just kind of fumbled the buttons or whatever, but I hit right click from here and then it ended up overheating, and that kind of thing isn't something you want to happen necessarily, but so it's a small thing, but yeah, so I mean this changes things, because I mean I guess the way I have it set up, I mean you're always going to want to go for the maximum damage, unless of course I just wanted to use the lasers, I guess. But does this... Yeah, I mean, this lasts long enough that I can just start getting off the next attack. So it's not like, I mean, I could think maybe, okay, I'll put it down here, then I'll go up to here, then I'll trigger it, so that the next time when I go all the way up, I'll get all of this bonus damage. And that might make sense on paper, but in practice, if I just put that up here, then I don't have to bother with that. I can just go all the way up here, I can trigger this, and then the next time I go through, it'll still be active, and then the next time I go through, it'll still be active, so... It just won't be the first chain through that I'll have it. So it's interesting, but I almost wonder it would be, simpler and maybe just more intuitive and maybe better to just have this apply to this specific attack instead of being a buff, like an overtime buff kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, obviously there could be different things you could do with this that might be better over time. I don't know. Let's get in here. Let's see what we can... Alright, yeah, see, I'm hitting the... Okay, so this is really silly. You can see I took a lot of damage. I really had no sense of like whether I was getting hurt or what was hitting me. I couldn't really keep track of that. I was just kind of focused on trying to control myself, like flailing about constantly. So it's pretty hard to manage actually avoiding any enemy damage while you're doing this, especially because this thing launches you around so much, which is fun, but as long as you're doing this kind of thing and trying to like maximize spitting out as much damage as humanly possible, trying to control all of your attacks, it's really hard to even notice if you're getting damaged or what the enemies are doing at the moment. And yeah, these these ones that are just spitting constant bullets, It's very hard to avoid in some of these situations where you're running into enemies and you're kind of bouncing off them, and those bullets are just like hammering into you. There's not much really limiting those from just flying into you over and over again. So this is good. Oh, looks like we got some kind of debuffs here, I guess. I can only assume that was from some of these enemies, but yeah, so this is really interesting. I think it's going to be hard to make it. Some of these fundamentals about, just being able to consistently avoid enemy attacks and that kind of thing, I think that's going to be really challenging. The sheer complexity of this is a bit overwhelming. It's really hard for me to imagine, like, if obviously I just did like these 2 trees, and this is like quite simple. Like, I don't really have to think about this too much. I just do one and then do the other, and I even made them symmetrical so that it was actually consistent, which is nice. That's quite nice. But I haven't used any of these things in the middle, and this is just like a whole other level of complexity. It's hard for me to imagine actually using this in like a thoughtful way, Like, in this moment, I want to do this one, and then the next moment I want to do this one, and the next one I want to do this one. Like, how does my brain decide that one of these is going to be better than the other in this like very tiny amount of time in order to execute it? And then how am I going to remember like which combination is which? And obviously I can like go like this, and there's like actually a tremendous amount of different combinations that I could theoretically input. It seems like an awful lot to make sense of, especially in a game so fast-paced as this is. So I don't know. I think maybe it would take a considerable more amount of time to really test like how possible it is to play with all of this possibility in a meaningful, like a thoughtful way, I guess is the best word I can think of. But I could definitely appreciate the thoughts, the conceptual aspect of it. It's definitely very interesting to think about the possibilities. So yeah, it seems like a hard thing to pull off, but hopefully you found something useful in this video that will help you to do that. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and I'm going to move on to the next one.